I want to welcome everybody this morning to the Real Estate Collaborative virtual meeting. We're very pleased you're with us this morning. Our subject, as we'll get to it, is how do realtors find clients and be successful in this market? And first, I want to introduce the people and the businesses that make the collaborative possible, and that's our sponsors. So, Dan, I'm going to let you bring up there we go. Thank you. And I want to first of all thank our premier sponsors. These are businesses that have gone a little farther into helping us be active. The first is Russ Keller with the Credit Law Center. It's a Kansas City firm owned by lawyers. That's why it's called Credit Law. And Russ Keller handles the credit repair induction for the St. Louis market, and he's a great guy. Also, Simple Moves is one of our premier sponsors, Chris Giannino. We've known Chris now for maybe 10 years. If you don't know him, you should. He's a great success story, and he's very hands-on, making sure that his clients get something worthwhile. Next is Dazzle Home Staging, Linda Borhe. Linda is the unoccupied stager. She handles vacant and has a over 10-year history, including many awards, and very reliable, very easy to work with, very charming. You need to know Linda. John Brandvine is our certified public accountant, Brandvine and Company. He is great for formulating tax strategies for real estate professionals, IRS negotiations and resolutions, and how to structure real estate transactions and entities. We've used him for some of our short sale clients to get their taxes sorted out so we can go forward. Then we have Chesterfield Title, a woman-owned title company. Mimi Brandt is the new business development officer, and she does a great job. If you don't know Mimi, you need to. She's a great influencer, and the title company is one that we use. They do a super job. Very reliable, very responsive. And our next premier sponsor is Andrea Lenson, who is designed to sell. She is an occupied stager, so she'll bring in the accessories and give the client the bad news of what they need to take out of the house or hide to make it look really marketable. So Andrea is someone you need to know. She's also a big influencer. Our next event sponsors are people that have been part of our business in many cases since the beginning. We have a fairly new sponsor, Andrew Abraham of CNB Bank and Trust, Marcia Russo of Old Republic Home Protection, does a great job. Mariana, I want to get this last name, Angelova, Mariana Angelova of McRae Mortgage Leaders, based in Chesterfield, a very experienced mortgage lender. Custom home builder Brad Langeneckert, who does incredible work with his company in custom homes as well as remodels. As is Property Buyers, James Manning and Ryan Wessels of Three Doors. And then we have St. Louis Real Producers Magazine, Nick Najar and Diane Collins. They are obviously big influencers, and you need to know them. Then we have Brian McRae, well known to everybody, one of our first sponsors, the McRae Mortgage team at Central Bank. In the reverse mortgage field, we have Dennis Cooper, the Federal Savings Bank. Dennis is one of the top producers in reverse mortgages and is knowledgeable beyond belief. You need to know Dennis. We have St. Louis paint contractor Jim Colombo, who is also one of our early sponsors and is an exceptionally high quality painter. We have Knox Malis of Integrity Title Solutions. They do construction dispersing and 1031 exchanges, as well as providing a range of other title services. Our independent insurance broker is Dan Lewig, also the co-host of this call. He's with the Insurance Store and has built a huge business based on referral marketing, so I'm sure he'll have some thoughts to share with us as well. David Fox, Carpet Masters Flooring, and a couple of other companies he owns in the carpet and flooring field. very reliable, used by many realtors, as recommended by many realtors. Then we have Andy Hickson of EFG, Executive Financial Group. He is also an independent insurance broker with a St. Louis-based company. Nathan Kerpen, Benchmark Mortgage, recently completed very satisfactorily a transaction for a friend of ours and did a great job. Paget Business Services, Denise Reed. They provide accounting and tax preparation and other consulting services for small businesses. Jeanette Neely has Gourmet Gifts for closing and thank yous, Nothing Bundt Cakes, both in Town and Country and now in St. Charles. Troy Pieper of Troy Pieper Insurance Agency, State Farm. Very experienced, long time in the business, knows what he's talking about, and is great on service. And then our small subdivision home builder, small to medium, Concert Homes, represented by Dawn Thurman. You should know Dawn. She's doing a great job for her company. And then we have LegalShield and IDShield for small businesses and legal plans for small businesses and individuals, and identity theft. That's represented by Deborah Russell. And then Rod Hamilton and I have short sale specialists where we work with realtors and other referrers like lawyers and accountants on solving difficult problems where people are upside down with their properties. And there still are people coming to us with these kinds of problems. You'll see at the bottom of this page the web address for our Real Estate Collaborative website, and that's the site that you'll find the recording after a few days of this call, along with all the other past calls. So thank you all for listening and supporting our sponsors who have been very important to us and continue to be. So I'd like to introduce now our speakers, our panelists. They come from a variety of backgrounds. They have been people I've known in some cases for quite a while, and other cases are new to me, but highly recommended. The first person I want to introduce is Michelle Jones. She is a realtor with Keller Williams, Missouri, and she has a vast marketing experience prior to real estate, which I believe she's going to tell us how that has truly benefited her in building her real estate business. And then we have Brenda Suter, who is fairly new to real estate, but is just absolutely crushing it. She's with Palmer House Properties and is a senior agent with them, only been in the business for 18 months, whereas I believe, Michelle, you've been in it for 8 or 9 years, right?
It seems like it some days. It's been
Okay.
6.
And Brenda's been in about 18 months and is just, I would say her tremendous success is organic. She's just taking off, and we'll be delighted to hear more about her. And then we have Klaus Bank, who's been in real estate a long time, like over 20 years, Klaus?
Yeah, I think this is my 21st year, actually.
That's amazing. That's great.
I stopped counting about 10 years ago.
I don't blame you. I stopped counting too. He is the managing broker for Red Key Realty Leaders in Frontenac, managing probably well over 100 agents, right?
Yeah, we have about 177.
In that one office?
No. We have 2 offices. One
Okay.
here at Frontenac, and then another
Right.
one in Chesterfield.
Okay. So let me circle back now and have Michelle, Brenda, and Klaus tell us more about themselves. Before that, I want to thank Dan Luig of the Insurance Store for being our co-host. And he has such a great experience in marketing. He'll probably want to add his thoughts as we go along. And as I said, I'm Barry Russell. I have over 50 years in real estate since the late 1960s when I was 13 years old. And I did a land subdivision as my first project in Canada, and then eventually came down to the United States and ended up back in St. Louis, which I moved to with my bride, be living near grandchildren, watching them grow up, which they have done. So we're glad to be here. We like St. Louis. So Michelle, tell us a little bit more about yourself so that the group can understand where you're coming from.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Thank you again for inviting me. I'm glad to be here this morning with you all. I have moved over 20 times, and I, like you, Klaus, stopped counting after that. I know it's been more than that. And I have two kids, a daughter who's 23, a son who's 21. We moved to the St. Louis area about 20 years ago. My first husband was in Boeing relocation, so that added to quite a few of them, probably about half of the moves. And with my dad being in the military, as I mentioned earlier, I probably don't really remember the first 10 moves as well as I'm sure my mother does. So that led me to a natural interest in real estate, as you know, we thankfully always benefited with the sale and with the purchase of each property in between. I would have also, I said, this makes me sound like I'm 98 years old, right? I have about 20 years of sales and marketing experience in the advertising industry and print. We all know sort of what's happened to the print industry. So that led me to looking at other options. When I found myself going to open houses when I didn't need a home, I thought, this is time to get my real estate license. And that was 6 years ago, not too long really after the whole 2008 start of the recovery of the real estate industry at the time. So from there, I started at Keller Williams at that time as well, had a journey. Also was with Redkey, with Klaus there for a while, and learned a lot along the way from everyone that has been a part of that. And just thankful that I get to wake up every day and be so involved. And Brenda and Klaus, I'm sure you agree with this, get to be so involved in something that is such a major investment and part of someone's life, in taking them from what was their best place to their next best place in life, really, whatever that is. So I truly enjoy what I do.
Well,
And
great.
I'm thankful to be here.
Thanks, Michelle. Brenda, I'm astonished at your story. You've had it's kind of unique, but it makes so much sense. So tell us a little bit about what you've done prior to real estate, and then how it sort of led you into being successful in real estate.
Well, thank you very much for having me, Barry. I've been married for 21 years. I have 3 children, 16, 14, and 11, who keep me extremely busy. I've lived in St. Louis, pretty much St. Charles area, for about 23 years. I'm originally from Upper Michigan, so you can't ask me what high school I went to. Just kidding. So I was in corporate America when I first, I transferred from California. My husband was in the Coast Guard. He went to the Coast Guard Academy, so we were 5 years in the Coast Guard. We were in California for 2 years, transferred to St. Louis, thought we would live here for 3 years, and then moved back to California because we loved it so much. But after living here for 3 years, I was with Court Business Services, and I was moving up the ladder there, and decided we just love St. Louis, so we decided to stay. I was in the corporate America until I started having kids. I stepped down 6 months later. After I stepped down from corporate America, I signed up to be a Mary Kay consultant. Just thought I would just do it just to meet some girlfriends, and I became a director. Earned about 3 Mary Kay cars, lots of prizes. Had a great time doing that, great company. But my husband works for, a GM, and he works 7 days a week. And my kids at the time, well, still are, but we're extremely busy, and we don't have any family here. So I decided to step down from being a director and decided to concentrate on the kids. And, they're so busy in sports and stuff that, so I'm still, I still am a consultant, but I don't really work the business. But I just did some part-time work for a few years, and then we needed a second income, right? I mean, kids are so expensive that for a couple of years, I was just dreaming of a career and what I could do. And I always wanted to be an entrepreneur and have that flexibility and be able to make as much money as I would like. The sky's the limit. So I always thought about real estate, and I was hungry. So I decided to get my license about 19 months ago, and I worked for a company for the first 5 months and just didn't work out. They did a lot of rentals, and just wasn't for me. So I had one of the guys that I worked with had met Brian Preston at Palmer House and had coffee with him. And he called me up right away, and he was like, "We're moving to Palmer House." He's like, "We're going to Palmer House." And so we talked to him for a little bit, and I've been there since August.
That's a great story. And I think what's interesting is how you have built a sphere of influence through your happy times in Mary Kay where you were just naturally meeting people and enjoying them, having them like you, know, like, and trust.
Mhm.
And it's just been organic. So that's one of the reasons why I'm delighted to have you to tell us more about your experience. And I think it's fair to say that from what the two owners of Palmer House here in St. Louis, they have the St. Louis franchise for this big Atlanta firm called Palmer House Properties. You are crushing it this year with already sales over 10 million.
Mhm.
So that's something to be very grateful for. You've done so well, and I'm sure people just love doing business with you. So we're going to hear more about that here as we go on. Now, Klaus, you have so many more years to account for here, and you've evolved, I'm sure, as an agent, but you're probably still doing some agent work, right?
Actually, I don't really engage in the agent work much anymore.
But you're managing all these people and helping them understand how to build their businesses.
That's correct.
What in your background got you going in real estate and you found to be helpful?
Yeah. So first off, thanks for having me on. I'm actually a fill-in for Sean Kelsey. Sean is a managing broker of our Chesterfield office. So I want to give a shout out to him. He had a conflict for this morning, but so I'm going to try to do my best on the stats when we get to that point. But so I have, yeah, so as Barry mentioned, so I got licensed in 2000. I've lived in St. Louis since '88, my family. I have two kids. I have a 30-year-old son and a 25-year-old daughter. I know I don't look that old, but I am.
You don't.
And they're great. Actually, the entire family currently is with Red Key. Both my wife and my son are active agents out there. My daughter's been helping us with some special projects, but she's getting ready to move and she'll be leaving us here shortly. But all of them have been a great asset to the company. So I started, really my career started, if I go way, way, way back, I was in retail management for probably about 9 years. And really in that retail management world or retail world, what I learned a lot was just customer service, right? And, you know, much smaller scale than a house, right? Because we're talking about, I was in records, tapes, and CDs, which, where are those anymore? And then in clothing, where, you know, the dollar amounts are much smaller, but there's still, you know, conflict that can come up with returns and that. So it was always just really a focus on the individual, and retail really taught me that is the real power of service and customer service to individuals. From there, I moved into, I was a copier salesman, up and down the street, knocking on doors.
That's good background for real estate, though. I've heard that.
It really truly is. And I hated every single moment of selling copiers. I did it for about 7 years, 7.5 years. But Barry, I'll tell you, the skills that I got in that industry and that market really moved over nicely into real estate, because and actually, you know, that combined with the customer service, I always took that customer service approach to sales, even in the copier world, where it's, you know, nobody gets excited about a copier. They only talk about it when it doesn't work, right? So, but it was really always how I was fairly successful, but it was focused on the other individual, not focused on me and what box I needed to move in or what I needed to sell them, but more focused on how I was going to help them. So, you know, there wasn't a real passion around copiers. And I was, you know, after 7.5 years kind of going, I don't think this is really what I want to do anymore. And I have a good friend who's in the mortgage industry, Jim Owens. He and I have known each other for a long time. And I was talking to him one day and he said, have you ever thought about real estate? So I looked into it, had a few friends that were doing real estate, and decided to get my license. And so it was interesting. So, you know, that background and really all the things that I've learned really about real estate over the years is, and the thing that I love the most, whether I'm working with buyers or sellers, my staff at the office, or even the agents that I coach and train, is really about helping those. I love to help individuals find their way. There's a lot of different, we all know this, there's a lot of different ways to do this business, you know, more from a transactional focus, more to a relational focus. And everybody's different. And that's what I really, truly love about this industry. When I'm sitting across from an agent that, for whatever reason, phone calls might not be it. So we have to find a way, but everybody can do this in a lot of different ways. But to me, still the number one thing that everybody has to get is your success is going to be determined on your ability to develop a relationship and to really focus on that individual. I really, truly believe that. And so what I love about this industry and where I'm at today, it's really more towards agents than buyers and sellers. I kind of still deal with conflicts when those come up as a broker, but it's really helping agents determine and find their way and their niche and the best way for them to do this business and have success. So,
Well, you all do a quality job. Your firm has a great reputation, as do you and Sean and Jill. So let's dive in for maybe 12 to 15 minutes into the market situation, the status of the market. And I'm going to let Klaus lead off with some of his thoughts, some of which may be statistical, to kind of explain today where you think the market's at and maybe where it's going.
Right. No, I appreciate that. And so most of you on this call probably know Sean Kelsey, and he is definitely a numbers person. So I asked him to kind of help me, get prepared for this a little bit. So he threw out some numbers. So, but before I really get into the stats, we all know, but really before COVID happened, right? Everybody in the industry knows that we had an inventory shortage really to start off with. And it should be of no surprise that with this, that everyone knows that we have an inventory shortage. But here are just some numbers. And this is actually looking at August of 2020 compared to 2019, right? And we break them down into like St. Louis City, St. Louis County, and St. Charles County. So number of transactions or number of sales in St. Louis for the month of August is up 6%. It's down in St. Charles County by 4.6%. And I'll talk about that in a moment. And the city is up by 1.9%. But I don't, so I think, when I think of that, when we go back to spring, those numbers were, way the opposite, right? So we weren't having the transactions that we're having. We were, negative numbers on that. So I think really 2020 it's hard to predict anything in 2020. But I think really, obviously when we had this slowdown, COVID kind of came in, other things that came in, slowed down the market. And our normal spring, I really believe is going to really start to move towards the latter part of the year. Let's talk about St. Charles County. Their number of transactions was down 4.6%. But here's an interesting statistic. The months of inventory, right? So months of inventory is if we get no more active listings, based on the listings that we have and the number of pending and closed, this is how much inventory or how long it would take to sell off that inventory. And it's less than a month. For 2 months in a row now, St. Charles has been experiencing about a 0.79, 0.78%, decline or months of inventory, right? So if we go back up to the number of transactions is down, where St. Louis County and St. Louis City is a little bit up over last year, St. Charles County is down. It's really because there's no inventory. Next statistic that I'd really kind of point out is our median sale price is increasing. St. Louis County up, median sale price up 8.6%. St. Louis City up 11.7%. St. Charles County up 9.7%. So the median sale price continues to grow. We all know that a balanced market, what's sustainable over a long period of time is about a 4 to 5% appreciation in real estate. So we're dancing around with double-digit increases. Obviously in the city we are at double-digit increases over last year when we look at August. The thing I think that we have to start to realize, because we've seen this before, we've seen those double-digit increases, and we've actually seen something similar to COVID before, not exactly like COVID, but this was 9/11. And I remember when 9/11 happened, I was in the industry, but there was a short little dip in the market, right? Because something tragic happened. Everybody pulled back and said, I don't know what to do. I'm going to sit. I'm going to sit. Sellers are going to sit. Buyers are like, I just don't know. I'm not sure what's going to do. But then eventually it starts to open up. And I think that's really what we're experiencing at this point. We had COVID kind of come through. Everybody drew back, said, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And slowly it starts to recover. Well, what happened after 9/11 is then we started with 6, 7, 8 years of in some areas, double-digit increases, and the affordability rate got out of whack. And then we all know what happened with the mortgage industry, and everything collapsed at that point. So I think we have to, we have to be cognizant of the fact that these kinds of increases are not going to be sustainable over the long period. Now, I don't want to paint this dark picture of like, oh no, the day's coming where it's just all going to fall apart. But I think we just need to be cognizant of that and realize that right now, if you can get somebody under contract, if you can get a house on the market, it will more than likely sell. I'll share some statistic on that in a moment. But we have to also be cognizant that these types of increases from a median sale price are not really going to be sustainable. So there will more than likely be a correction somewhere in our future. It happened the last time as well. Here's an interesting statistic as well. List price to sold price percentage. So this is looking over over the markets. All 3 counties, St. Louis County, St. Louis City, St. Charles County. First time I have ever seen this, but the sold price to list price percentage in all of those areas are at 100%.
Wow.
Right? So at 100%. In St. Louis County, that's 5 months in a row at 100%. In St. Charles County, that's 7 months in a row at 100%. And in St. Louis, that's 6 months in a row at 100%. Now, that doesn't mean that things aren't selling under list price, but that what it does mean is that things are, and you all know this because if you're all competitive in the market, working with multiple offers, things are selling well over the list price on that. So, to me, that's a message. That's 2 messages really to sellers that are sitting on the fence. Why are you sitting on the fence? If you need to sell, get it priced right and sold. The second message that I would say is to the seller that's still sitting on the market, your price is too high.
Yes.
I mean, it's obvious, right? If we're seeing on an average that, that sellers are getting 100% or 100% or more for their list price and you're not selling, then, it's either a condition or price. If you're not going to do anything with the condition, you got to do something with the price. So what else can I share here? Good news for St. Charles. So this is the number, and again, this is just looking at August since we have those August numbers in. The number of new listings that are hitting the market in St. Charles is up 9.1%, right? So that's a good, remember if I go back to months of inventory at 0.79, so we have less than a month of inventory, we're starting to get a little bit more inventory on St. Charles. So hopefully that'll help with the number of sales out there as well. Last statistic that I really want to share, Barry, is the number of actives. So this is not the new listings, but just the number of actives that we have comparing August of 2000 to where we were at in August of 2020 to 2019. Across the board, we're way, way down. St. Louis County, we're down 41.7%. So we have 41.7% fewer properties entering or active on the market. In St. Charles County, down 43.2%, and St. Louis City, 33.8% down. So our inventory, the number of actives that we have, that's no news to anyone. We all know that we don't have inventory. And I think our job, is to kind of communicate that out to the public so that they realize, hey, interest rates are great. If you're a seller, we need more inventory. Now's a great time to do it. So hopefully that gives kind of a good start.
No, that's excellent. Michelle, do you want to add anything to that, please?
Yes, and Klaus, thank you for sharing all of that. I was nodding and you were describing the life of me and Brenda. This year, what I can say is, just speaking from my own personal experience, is that it takes more steps this year to get the same job done from last year. Someone asked me, a relative, how is real estate this year? It's like, wow, how do you sum that up in a statement? I said, well, it's kind of like when I started working out in my 40s. I got to work twice as hard to look half as good right now. So, just joking around. But I have right now for myself, I was counting right before I called, 13 buyers. These are people that they're ready to go. They need a home. They're not just a lead. They're solid. And I have 3 listings. Usually it's the other way around. So Klaus just described my business really in the same percentage. If people truly move every 5 to 7 years, tell me if you all agree with us. I feel like the more spontaneous buyers purchased 2010-ish to 2014. So they've been sitting for a while. Now I feel like I have a lot of the deeper thinkers that have watched all this happen. They might be more financially solid because they're also that type of thinker. So they handle their life that way. So they're taking longer to look. Plus there's less inventory. Plus sometimes houses are going back on the market. We haven't talked about that because that's not a fun thing to talk about. For me personally, I'm finding that there can be all the technology in the world and it's wonderful for systems and maintaining our business. However, one thing that we all cannot deny is nothing will replace us being there, that connection with the client and really everyone involved. Everyone is all a team, everyone that helps along the way, and so many people to get something to close. So something I'm happy to share that I'm doing differently.
Can we wait on what you're doing differently till we get
Sure.
into the actual marketing
Absolutely.
part? So that's a good, you and Klaus have started off excellent on this matter of where is the market. Brenda, you're out in St. Charles County. You specialize, you farm a specific area, but you probably have business going elsewhere. Tell us what you're finding in the market.
Well, it's busy. I'm busy, but interest rates are still low, very low inventory. It's still a seller's market, but because the interest rates are low, the buyers can afford more. But what I'm finding, what's happening now, like a month versus a month ago, is that buyers are exhausted with this multiple bid situation. And I had a listing come up a week ago, last weekend, $250,000 house in Newtown. A month ago, I would have had 15 showings in one day and probably 12 of them offers. It was on the market for 2 days. And I was like, oh my gosh, we only had 2 showings. I had an open house on that Sunday and people came in. I had 4 people that said, I want to put an offer in, but I don't want to fight for this house. Like 250,000 is all I can do. So I can't do it. And I'm like, well, we want to sell this house, put in an offer. We'll get it confirmed tonight. We'll get it signed. So we had two contracts that night, but I had to talk to those 4 buyers that came through because they did not want to fight for it.
Interesting.
So I don't know if you guys are finding that.
Yes.
It is exhausting for the buyers.
Got to be exhausting for the agents too.
Yes.
Yeah. But you've been able to build your business from the standpoint of the listing side too, which is really quite remarkable in a market that has such a shortage of listings. So we're going to get to that in a few minutes. Well, thank all 3 of you for your comments on the market. Dan, do you have anything to add on the market that you want to throw in? You're insuring so many of these new buyers.
Yeah. As I was listening to what Klaus was saying, I'm just like, yep, thinking about specific agents, specific buyers. And so I've noticed the extreme over asking price bids that have gone in that have won. People in St. Charles County are blown away when appraisals are waived. It happens in St. Louis City, never happens in St. Charles County. It's happening in St. Charles County.
And inspections waived.
Inspections are being waived, absolutely.
They're doing the inspections, but they're not asking for anything.
So
Wow.
those things, yes. Klaus mentioned listings on the if you're not selling right now, there's a problem. What I've seen is the ones that aren't selling, when they have a price reduction, they're massive price reductions. Like you still see the $500 occasionally and $1,000 occasionally, but it's much more common to see a $10,000 or $20,000 or $40,000 price reduction than those little ones from 5 years ago. So yeah, what you're saying, absolutely seeing. And I don't know if Klaus, you mentioned 9% up in listings in St. Charles County. Does that also include home builders?
So those, Dan, great question. And that's the median sale price, I believe, was that number. Oh, I'm sorry. Or was it the number of new listings?
I think the number of new listings
The
is
number
up.
of new listings is also up 9.1%. So these stats are taken directly out of the MLS. So if those are new builds that are in the MLS, then it would be part of that. Obviously not all new construction is in there. So,
I'm thinking there's more inventory homes that builders are just building,
correct.
know that they're going to sell anyway by the time they get to the finish line. So might as well start building for Klaus, even though Klaus doesn't even realize he wants a new house yet.
Right.
Okay.
Am I moving to St. Charles? Oh,
You didn't know.
All right. So let's move into part one of our discussion, which is how each of you uses your marketing skills and assets from your past. And one area that I'm intrigued that could be a reason for maybe all three of you being so successful is what I will call carryover from previous spheres of influence. Now, Brenda, your story might be right on with this.
Mhm.
You built up these relationships over, I don't know how many years you were with Mary Kay, but that is a very friendly relationship, business where everybody loves each other and has home parties, and it's a lot of fun, and you make a lot of friendships that way. Tell us what you think now has happened to your quick start because of the carryover spheres of influence.
Well, when I became a sales director the same month I moved to Newtown. So I built up my Mary Kay business kind of in my community, right? So I met a lot of people. I started a networking group in Newtown that there was 3 of us that went for coffee. We ended up becoming 40 plus business owners, brick and mortar owners. So I feel like, and I've been farming Newtown. So that's part of my success is really kind of concentrating on an area where I've lived for the last 14 years and I know it well. So,
So people that you've dealt with in your Mary Kay field, now that they know you're in real estate, would be inclined, because they like you and trust you, and to call you. Is that what's happening?
yes. I mean, I've also gotten a lot of business from, the kids' school. I volunteer there. So, I'm always, you got to be out, right? You can't be in the office. So I would much rather be out socializing. I'm a people person. Kids sports. I just got a listing from my kids' soccer team parent. Yes, Mary Kay business definitely has helped. But Newtown has also helped me because I've been here for a long time. I know it probably better than anybody since I was here from the time it was built. And I do a lot of networking. I love networking. So
Are you in BNI?
I used to be in BNI, but I have not been in BNI since I've been in real estate.
Okay. All right. How about the networking group you mentioned? Are you in that still?
It has, it's no longer a networking group.
Okay.
It kind of disbanded a few years ago. And so I do think about re-energizing that. Just been so busy that I haven't concentrated on that yet, but that is something that I'm wanting to do.
Do you have systems whereby you're keeping track of all the contacts, or have you got a spreadsheet that you're using to work this all through?
I have a spreadsheet.
Good. Okay, great.
I'll probably get an assistant.
Michelle, tell us what you found has influenced your business well in terms of past experiences in marketing and connections, just kind of along the lines of what Brenda talked about, please.
Sure. And Brenda, thank you for sharing. That's a great story. And I really can connect with what you've done with your community. From where I came from, I started out in large Fortune 500, Oscar Mayer, Kraft, General Foods, inspiring medium-sized companies to come with us. Then I went to a medium-sized company ad agency where I was a sales manager and managed salespeople. So it was getting out there and knocking on those doors, manufacturing a relationship in 45 minutes from someone who didn't know us to finding out what their problem or situation is they want to solve. So I think that that situation where that I love is finding out, what do we need to solve? What is that? It's not really about the type of property. In fact, one thing I think we all can agree on, this is really not about the house. This is about the people. So it's finding out what we need to solve. Then once we decide to partner together to solve that, knowing who the right customer is, because you want to promote to get that buyer, right? So I think that from the past, knowing how to promote and then knowing how to solve the problem, I love taking something, breaking it apart, figuring it out, and together we put it together. And that's where I've just really enjoyed it. Every single situation is different. It's just knowing who to involve, who the right people are, and really getting from point A to point B and really exceeding what they wanted to then draw in more clients like that.
I'm going to ask you, and then I'm going to bounce back to Brenda on this question. Do you have any mentors that you continue to work with in the industry?
You know, it's mentors. As Klaus has been one.
Okay.
Dan has been one, and Barry, I'm looking forward to getting to know you.
Okay.
And even new agents can be too, because they look at something a new way. I think as far as mentors I'm still working with, you mentioned a few of them on your sponsor panel. A lot of my affiliate partners, we really learn from together. I have joined now a BNI. I haven't been in it super long, just since July. Just staying with people who care about people and the same things that we've all been talking about here. I think my mentors are really my affiliate partners, my brokers. We have to work harder now this year to continue to seek out our mentors. And I think even when we are mentoring, we're learning something from the people that we're with. So it's ongoing. It's my family. It's my friends. It's everybody around me.
Okay. Brenda, back to you quickly. Mentoring. I kind of think I know the answer to this question. I'm going to have you verbalize it. Who are your mentors, and what's been significant to you and they're helping you get your business so supercharged?
Definitely Brian Preston and Kyle Fernandez.
Okay.
They are great. Is that who you were thinking I was going to say?
Yeah, that's right. The boys.
Of course. They've been great. The training, I can call them at any time and ask them questions. They, take me through all situations. They have great strategies, great training programs. They're really big into training, and they actually help pay for any kind of training that we want to do outside of Palmer House. So I hired my first training coach. And it's also, they're just, they make us feel like we're family. So
great.
Important to me.
So Klaus, you're in a different somewhat position, but maybe you can provide some perspective on mentoring and all the ways that people, there's probably just a variety of ways that people take off and do well in this business based on which vantage point they're coming from.
Yeah, I think, and I've mentored quite a few, just not only being a broker, but even when I started out, not as a broker, I was with Gundaker, and then which merged and became Coldwell Banker Gundaker. But within a year after starting in the industry, my broker looked at me and said, "You know what you're doing. Why don't you start mentoring people?" So, and I'm happy to say that I can think of at least 3 people that I mentored in the beginning that are still in the industry. So that's awesome.
No.
That's great. But you know what the bottom line is this is really what I tell anybody that's coming into this industry is that you have to be an entrepreneur mindset. If you're not, if you're coming out of that corporate world and you think this is going to be corporate structure and all that, forget it. That's not what this is. And that their success really, we can show them the way. Brenda, you mentioned like the coaching and the training and the mentoring, but at Palmer House, you can do all the training in the world, but it's really up to that individual. We can show you how to do it.
Right.
Can't do it for you. Right.
Absolutely.
Bottom line. So, you know, when I think in the past, you know, my first broker was really a great mentor for me. And I will tell you, the first thing that he had me do was sit down with, he didn't even have me pull up an Excel spreadsheet. He sat me down with a pad of paper and he said, you start writing down names of everybody you know. Don't worry about the addresses and phone numbers, just start writing down names. And it's really establishing, you know, what we know as the sphere of influence or database, however you want to term it. But it was really, and it was, I'm glad that he did that, because right off the bat, I got, you know, I could visually see who it is that was going to be my sphere of influence. And then I worked at getting addresses and all that stuff together. But within a couple of months, or actually within a month's time frame, I had what I needed to start the marketing and the reach out and the announcements and do all that kind of stuff. I think what I see a lot of times with newer agents that come into this industry, they're afraid, they need to get into action fast. And not all, but some of them are just afraid to get into that action because they don't feel like they know enough. You know, they'll still make it there, but it's going to be a longer road, right? The faster that an individual gets into action, whether you're a brand new agent or even if you're somebody that's just, man, you know, my business is down, I just need to re-energize it. Number one thing to do is you got to get into action. So you see this a lot, you know, Barry, where I think that they'll go to training. Training is great, but training without action doesn't do anything.
Gotcha.
Mentoring and coaching is great, but mentoring and coaching without any sort of action isn't going to do anything.
You got it. That makes great sense. Great sense. I want to just quickly focus on the next question because we want to cover everything that I hope that we can. What did you look for in choosing a real estate brokerage firm, Brenda?
Really, training. I was with a company that didn't really have any training, and so I was hungry. I was like ready to work, right? So I'm like, when Matthew had went to coffee with Brian, I'm like, okay, this is what we need to know. Like, you know, do they bring anything to the listing presentation? What do they do for the buyers?
Sure.
You know what? So
training was an important part
very
of your
important.
choosing. Yes, and of
right,
course,
like, yeah, I'm coachable, I'm trainable, but right. So I just needed somebody to show me what to do, and I'll do it.
And the reliability and authenticity of the folks that were going to be giving you that training and mentoring.
Right.
Yeah. Michelle, how about you? What did you use for in establishing where you are now? Is it the systems that you like within Keller, or what is it that you like about it?
You know, leave it to a pandemic to help magnify for all of us what are our strengths and maybe not so much. So as I was looking at my own business, and we all go through phases, what I felt I needed this year were more systems to multiply not only the activities maybe where I don't need to be spending so much time on, or also just to multiply what we're doing that's working well. And I was getting right to that phase about right when everything started shutting down. And I was really looking at who is doing a great job with the tools as we need to refine them to fit what we're going through now and take us future. And I was looking for brokerage that, you know, it wasn't their agenda. It was about helping the industry. And, you know, I found several out there, and Red Key's one of them. You know, we all know the brokerages. There are many flavors of them. Keller Williams seemed to fit to me this time of where I need to go with their systems and what they have. And they have changed some things from what they were doing 4 to 5 years ago, where it wasn't recruitment specific. You know, I think we know that, you know, we all need to recruit. It was agent and client specific. They were talking about client service, and it really drew me in because I feel no matter how many apps we have out there, no matter how many systems we have out there, it's about who you are to the client. The client, in the end, they're looking for you. So it has helped me take my business, my website, connect my systems, and help them be autopilot for me, but not replace me or my team.
Good.
And taking that forward, then I've been able to really be more present in my business than I already was, which is, in the end, it's who we are and our relationship and solving their problem, and that's what they'll remember. So that's what helped me really choose. It's been a very happy transition, you know, all alone together.
But you've got a great sense of awareness. Klaus, do you want to add anything more about that, or briefly?
Yeah, I've been at 3 different brokerages over, I guess, over the years and since. But probably for me, the number one, I think the systems and the training, I think that's all great, and I think most of those brokerages out there have some sort of system or something that you can utilize in that. For me, it was really alignment. Core values, whether I felt like I was a fit with the environment that I was in. I'm just an individual that I excel better in an environment that I'm in alignment with. When I'm not in alignment with it, it kind of just messes with my head. I'm straight up and honest. And when I get too much inside my head, that becomes a problem. I need to be more inside my heart than my head. Maybe all of us do. I'm not sure, but I can only speak for me. But for me, it's alignment and just kind of core values and
Okay.
those kinds of things. So,
Very helpful. Thank you. I'm going to kind of combine the next couple questions here in the interest of time. I did want to ask you all about, do you have a marketing system that you consistently use to find clients? And then kind of take it into some of the areas that are available to you, be postcards, physical advertisements, cold calling, online, which is for many people huge these days, social media. Can you talk about what you have in terms of a marketing system, starting with maybe you, Michelle?
Sure, I'd be glad to. As I said, this year being more present, one thing that it may not seem like a marketing system, yet it helps promote business, is I mentioned earlier, being more present. What I have learned this year is that last year I learned from a deal falling apart that I really felt should not have. It was an appraisal that didn't work out. We struggled through inspections. The buyer overpaid. They felt buyer remorse, barely got through inspections, and then the appraisal didn't work out, and nobody wanted to work it out. And I just thought, I always think back, what could I have done differently, or we as a team? So I decided I would be present at everything. If I'm a listing agent, I'm present at the buyer's inspections, and I just tell the agent up front, I'm here to help us all close. I'm here if anything were to come up. I can only tell you this year, we've not had any inspections fall apart. We've not had any appraisals not happen. All I can tell you is that if it does, it won't be because we're not there.
Okay.
So that has been something that stood out. And also this year, I have a system that I reach out to agents to have agent referral systems because we can't do everything. And I have a video program that I'm putting out through YouTube to take people back to my website about how we do that and other things. And it has helped.
That's great. Brenda, any systems that you're focusing in particular on?
Yeah. So, like I said before, I farm Newtown. So I send out these postcards. So on the front of the postcard, I have a business that's in Newtown that they offer a discount. And on the back here is my information. And then the business, and then what the activity that I have done in Newtown. So I send that out. I should be doing it monthly, but it's been more like every 3 months. And I don't charge the businesses for that. Like I said, I love to help people and I want to help these businesses. So I feel like this is something that I can do to help them. I have a banner at the volleyball courts in Newtown. I actually got my first phone call from my banner a couple days ago. Facebook, I try to put, I'm not that great on Facebook. I'm trying to get better. But I put anytime, like I have somebody that does it for me, puts under contract or closed, just so people, my sphere of influence can see, what I'm doing. That has helped.
So you're mixing old techniques with new, and they're working for you.
Yes.
Plus, I'm sure referral is huge for you. People referring you.
Yes, I've actually had 12 referrals this year.
Good. Of listings or of buyers?
Both.
Okay.
And some of them have been, I sold their house and then I helped them buy a house.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Well, that's wonderful. Klaus, what do you want to add to this about systems and what people in your organization are following?
Yeah. Jill Butler had this vision. So if you don't know, Jill's actually the CEO and owner of the company. I'm the COO of the company, but so she's always the idea person, and then we got to kind of use the staff to put it together. Here's what. So she had this vision probably about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, but just an automated marketing program. Here's what we know really about agents is that the time to kind of do the marketing. Some of them do it, but very, very few of them actually get a consistent system going. So we focus really from a staffing standpoint at giving the agents leverage so that because their best dollar productive activity is being face-to-face, voice-to-voice with buyers and sellers or with their sphere of influence. So we have a couple of different programs, but the one that I'll just really point out or mention is we call it AMP, or Automated Marketing Program. So if an agent signs up for this, and Brenda, I love the postcard because you're promoting a local business. And what we find is that when we go and we go to other companies that do direct mail, they talk about real estate in general, but it never focuses on St. Louis, right? Or in your case, St. Charles. So what we wanted to do, so we have a full marketing department that creates content that's hyper local. So it's all about St. Louis. It's not about what's happening on the coast or any of that, but it's really local real estate. An agent can sign up for this, even if they don't want the print to go out. There's a small cost for them to do the print. But even if they don't want to do that, as long as we have their database, there's two emails that go out free of charge for each agent, any agent that's signed up into the program. That focuses, one statistics, and one is, so it's kind of art and science. Michelle, we were talking about that earlier. Statistics. Here, I'm the market expert, and then something fun things to do in St. Louis, or just some information about St. Louis. So we have agents. I mean, most of our agent population is at least signed up for the auto emails. And really overnight, what we saw was that those emails, I think, are going out to like anywhere between 15 to 20,000 people are getting those now. And then we also have a print portion of that saying that there's a small cost that they can do it. But here's the beautiful part for the agent. It's a no-touch program. All they have to do is get the database in. They can update their database as they go. And that automated marketing program, those pieces go out automatically. The agent doesn't even touch it.
Super. Wow, that's quite impressive.
Yeah.
Dan Lewig, you are a marketing wizard in your own right? You've built a business on referral-based marketing. Basically what's been taught by Brian McRae and other people attached to him or part of his sphere. Would you consider what you've got a system?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
So there would be some value in people contacting you if they want to know more about how your referral-based system has worked, because you've built a whole, I'll call it abundant lifestyle over being of service to realtors and their clients over the last 10, 12 years. Is that about the time frame, or am I too long?
About 10 years. Yeah, about 10 years.
So
yeah.
that whole
Didn't feel like
idea
that long, but yeah.
of the system based on referral marketing and prioritizing your contact list is really important and valid. So that's something that I know people could call you on, Dan Lewig with the Insurance Store, and you'd be glad to help them with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're nearing the point where much as I'd like to keep going for another hour or half an hour, it's just not possible because the time is running out and some of you have to jump on another call after this. We could talk so much more, and all of you have been just fabulous coming in from your own perspective. You know, Brenda, I love what you're doing. It's so authentic and it's so grassroots. It's amazing, and you're a great success, and I know you'll continue to be. And Michelle, you've got the background to keep building this big, and you're so self-aware and aware of what's going on that it's going to grow, I know. And Klaus, you know, you're the implementer, it sounds like, and you're doing it. You guys are crushing it too, and you're in your firm, Red Key Realty, and you came armed with important statistics, which I appreciate so much, and you're filling in for our good friend Sean Kelsey. Dan, we got maybe time for one question. Is anybody out there that's sent along a burning question, or do you have one?
Yeah. So a question I think different people have is how do you take the number of people you serve and then challenge yourself to increase that? So some agents get comfortable with where they are and just, it's okay. And other agents say, you know, that 12 a year that just naturally show up without me doing anything isn't good enough for me. And I want to move the bar. So how have you increased that number for yourself over time? Or would you give to advise somebody else to do so?
Who wants to go first?
I can go first.
Okay.
Great question, and many parts there. For myself, I think it's important, like Barry said, to be aware of what your strengths are. Where do you shine so that you can shine for your client and connect there? For me, I know it. Last year it was events and open houses. Well, this year that was a challenge. So how do we stand out there? Still having open houses, having a virtual plan and a live plan, or a combination of the two, whatever the client's comfortable with. So for me personally, it was about, instead of looking for eggs, I need to find the golden geese. So I joined a BNI, and, you know, thankful to be on a panel like this. For me, it was about how to do things differently while still expanding the old that works. So I'm reaching out to agents. It takes us more steps. Not one agent can handle this whole market. So I'm looking for agents that maybe handle different property than I do. And I can tell you, you know, if anyone wants to contact me and talk about that, I'd be glad to. There are lots of counties out there in Missouri that clients are moving to. There are different properties. There's investors. There's all kinds. So I'm looking for agents to partner with that will be there for the client all the way through the process.
That's a great idea. Brenda, anything quick? Thank you. Anything quick you want to add?
Well,
You just keep having, you probably just have people coming out of the wall still that you can't, isn't this wonderful? A nice new friend.
Really, but
Yeah.
you got to have a goal and you got to have a drive. And so, you know, I'm at right now with us, you know, things that I have closing, I'm going to be at almost 15 million. I'm like, holy cow, how am I going to do that next year? So you just got to have a goal, and you just got to, you know, keep working.
Well, it doesn't have to be limited. It can be unlimited. So you want to just keep going, expecting the best and making sure that you're doing the same things. Thank you. I'm just so grateful that you all were able to join us this morning. I know this call will have been of great value to the people who have been viewing it, and you all did such a good job. And I'd love to chat with any of you that are available sometime in the days ahead about your thoughts on the call and what you liked. And we'll be getting in touch with all of the people on our mailing list about our next event. It's looking like it'll be the second Thursday in October. But we'll because we're still not thinking people are going to be comfortable coming together for a live event, at least into the month of October. So we'll be in touch with everybody. Again, thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Klaus. And of course, thank you to Dan Luig for all you do in helping be the co-host. So have a great rest of the day and week and month, and we'll see you all in about a month.
Thank
Bye
you
for
all.
now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
You too.
Bye.
Thank you.